Hi there. I'm Ariana. I'm talking for CAS Unit 5. I have three concepts that have to deal with an example in my life. Based on my CAP, that assignment number 2 we just turned in, I thought these three would be a great example, these three concepts would tie into that one example. I picked uncertainty avoidance, the strong uncertainty avoidance, an individualistic culture, and then power distance. Uncertainty avoidance is broken down into weak or strong and is defined as the extent to which people in a culture feel threatened by a certain or uncertain or unknown situation. That's by Jandt. It's on page 171. And that has to deal with me being, a part of a structure. I need structure in my life. I'm high stress. I'm high strung. I need something to keep me together. I use my agenda. It's actually right here with me, taking notes in it as we speak. And so I need that kind of structure, lists, writing down my homework. I never miss homework. I'm never late on homework because I write it down all in here. There's no reason for me to ever have an excuse. Individual culture is when, based off Hofstede's view, is where the interest of the individual prevails over the interest of the group. So the ties between individuals are considered to be very loose, and people look after themselves and their immediate family. So I'm going to get to my example in just a second, but I just kind of wanted to put these all together for you. So I'm individualistic because I do my own projects, whether it's group related or not. I don't really care for people's opinions. I'm pretty individual. I like to do things on my own. I don't like to ask for people's opinions or their help or anything, really. I like to do things on my own, and I'm set in my own ways. And then the last concept is power distance. And according to Jandt, the definition of power distance is defined as the extent to which less powerful members of institutions and organizations within a country accept that power is distributed unequally. And that's also a Jandt, page 168. So my example has to do with what I wrote in my CAP. I went to the University of Arizona, and I had a huge project due, and it was for my, my MIS class, and that's an information system class that you have to take if you're in business. One of the hardest teacher I've ever had in my life. Never missed a day of that class, even when I had bronchitis. So we had this huge project due where we create our own website, and literally from scratch with all the concepts built into it. And being individualistic, with that project, you could go get help from the teacher, from the teacher's assistant, from the computer lab. I did it all on my own. I don't like people necessarily helping me. I don't need their opinion on which font is which. I kind of know what to do and what's best and what looks good. MLA formatting. I'm just very individualistic in that sense of this project. So I didn't get help on that at all. I wrote to deal with uncertainty avoidance and how I'm strong. I wrote down everything in my agenda. The project was coming up. I knew the deadline. I knew there's no late work accepted. And I've been working on the project for over a month. So here I am working. It's time consuming. I have other classes and homework on top of that in this class. And so I'm working on this, and my teacher says there's no late work due. At the beginning of the semester, he said, absolutely not. So again, working on the project, and I find out that my family member that I grew up with, he's a couple years older than me. He actually committed suicide, and he lived in Arizona, so in Phoenix. And so when I found that out, I was trying to talk to my mom and how to get there and how to help their family and be there for them and that kind of thing. So I'm doing this project, and my brain is just all over the place. I'm just thinking about this kid and how he could have committed suicide when he was the happiest, just full of life. So I do the project and I submit it, and turns out I get a 0 on it because I didn't do the URL correctly. So here you click on the site and it opens up everything, has everything in it except the URL didn't say the exact words that it needed to say. It was off by like something so stupid. Sorry to say, but just ridiculous. But you could still click on it and open the project. So all in all, I went to my teacher and I talked to him and I said, I emailed him and I said, please, like, I was going through this time in my life, a death in the family, and my brain wasn't, fully working. Is there anything I can do just to fix the URL? Everything else is there. I mean, I don't understand why I got a 0. And he said, no, there's no late work accepted. I was so hurt. It dropped my grade down significantly. It dropped it to a C. I was at like a 92. So you can imagine being at a university paying that kind of money and a death happens and you can't fix it. So, tying these concepts into that example really just one more time was the fact that, I'm always writing stuff in this agenda. I knew the deadline. I knew it was coming up. I didn't wait till last minute. I had a death. I mean, I was finishing it up and the last thing you do is the URL and, it didn't work. So my uncertainty avoidance, being strong, I had it down in my agenda and I was ready to go and I understood there was no late work. But being individualistic, I should have gone, I guess, and asked for help instead of being stuck in my ways, but I thought I was doing it correctly. I mean, he puts directions online. It's not rocket science, but I guess it was for me. So not asking for help and not asking for people's opinions on how to do this and what the project looked like and just doing it on my own, I think that totally probably screwed me up, even though everything else was perfect. And being in that power distance, where I went, and even though my teacher said there's no late work, I went above and beyond and I went to go talk to him and ask him for an extension because I mean, it should be equal. I should be able to get that chance to redo that part of the project that, like, why give me a 0 when I did all the other work? So I just wanted to tie that all in, those 3 concepts: uncertainty avoidance, the strong uncertainty avoidance, an individualistic culture, and then power distance. I really think that all ties into my example, turning in a project and having a death in the family, and it being a 0, and I still went up and asked for an extension. I really think that these all work together and really define who I am and as a culture, and yeah, so